that now we're recording. Okay. Now we're doing everything. We got it. Oh, wait. Fixed. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Ready.
All right. Here goes. I'll do the intro, and I'll just start it off like we always do. Here we go. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
I have
Current Geek! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Current Geek. This is Current Geek, the weekly proceedings of the meetings of the Frog Pants All-Stars, Geeks of the World, and you, and that gavel, to keep you current in all things that matter most. I'm Scott Johnson. That's Tom Merritt.
This makes me love Friday.
Does it?
Yeah, I kind of liked it already. I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
You know, Fridays aren't bad. But Current Geek just makes me embrace Friday like it's my favorite stuffed animal from childhood that has come alive and serves me my favorite snacks.
Just want to hug it till it lets out a little toot of its own. That's what you want to do with Friday. Is it Friday that makes Current Geek better, or do you think it's Current Geek that makes Friday better?
Oh, Current Geek makes Friday better.
Okay. Okay. That's where I'm at.
That's just my opinion.
That's where I'm at,
we
too.
Should ask our guests.
We should ask our guests. Fantastic guests. Ooh, who do you ask? Who's here? You ask at home? Well, it's an old friend of the network, a wonderful human being. Our female contingent today, we like having those. Get a little perspective in here with all these dudes around.
Lots of dudes.
Yes, it's Kim Price, ladies and gentlemen. Hello.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, you two make my Friday so much better.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes.
Known Kim for ages, played a lot of World of Warcraft together. She's over there, a fine representative of Doghouse Systems, my favorite PC manufacturer. She's just the greatest. So thanks for being here.
Scott was making her manufacture a gun for him right before the show.
Right.
He's working my fingers to the bone. It's crazy.
I still have that gun. I have that blue gun you made my we're talking about
you
Warcraft,
bring it up all
everybody.
the time.
Yeah. I always had it. I loved it.
And then every time I think of us playing, I always think banana hammock.
Ah, banana hammock. Usually because I did something wrong. That's true.
Usually, yes.
Our other guest, a returning guest, a guy you know, you love. It's Mr. Jonathan Strickland, who knows how things work. Hi, Jonathan.
I know how stuff works.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Trademark. Stuff works.
Yeah. But thank you very much. I also love to hug Joe Friday. I think that he's a taciturn man, but in an embrace, he melts into teddy bear form.
Wow.
Yeah.
You do know how he does know how stuff works. That's amazing. It's good to have you back, Sean. It's good to have you here, Kim. Let's get right into it with our main stuff.
Herbert Hoover, Secretary of Commerce in 1922, finds infant radio facilitates news gathering, as do many others in high public office.
Tom, break it down.
S. Snapier was all over our subreddit for Current Geek this week. Thank you, S. Snapier. And he starts us off by bringing us the news that Carrie Byron, Tori Belleci, and Grant Imahara were on their last Mythbusters episode last night. The show will continue as it began with just Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
Okay, I made a joke yesterday on Twitter. Let's see how it lands here, okay? My joke was... So I'll do it in a stand-up comedian voice.
All right.
So when did George R.R. Martin start writing episodes of Mythbusters? Get it? Because the characters were gone at the end. That's kind of terrible because we all love those guys. Yeah.
Like the Red Wedding of Mythbusters.
This seemed to come out of nowhere to me, and the way that they did it, like in the very end of the season finale of the show, and kind of had this little send-off video, which was fine and heartfelt and all that stuff, but it did seem like a little of a tack on to me, and I have no idea what the story is, and I'm not looking for weird dirt here or anything, but didn't it seem...
Animal Planet sends its regards.
It just felt a little quick and sudden and all those things. Thoughts, comments? Jonathan, you may have some perspective on this. What do you think?
As a former Discovery employee, it's I don't have any inside knowledge. I got to make that clear right away.
Yeah.
But by the time How Stuff Works had left the Discovery umbrella, there was nothing that I had heard internally about this, so it came as a surprise to me. But a surprise in a way that doesn't shock me so much. Discovery is all about playing with different formats, and it wouldn't really surprise me to learn that this was a way of trying to leverage Mythbusters and bringing down some costs, perhaps, while still trying to promote the show and keep it really popular. And I think they're banking on the fact that Adam and Jamie are such such a great team up on screen that it will keep viewers happy, and that's probably the main reason for it. I doubt that there's much else. I don't think there were any personality issues. I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was strictly a business decision.
It's weird though, because you got like a decade behind you when it comes to those three, and I remember like the 03, 04 days when the show was evolving, and that there was a woman on there named Scotty who was there for a while. I think she still does stuff with them, but behind the scenes, I'm not actually sure. But she was there for a while, and then you had somebody else, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody that stepped in for Carrie when she had her baby. But anyway, there was like this thing coalesced into what felt like your team. This was going to be your 5-man team, really. And that's how it was just going to be forever. To sort of pull that away, it just took a lot of fans off guard and, made them wonder what's next.
I get the feeling that and it may just be the way that the video came across, but I get the feeling that it was kind of a surprise to the build team too. It didn't feel like it was something that they necessarily knew. I mean, obviously they shoot those well in advance, but as of the time that was being shot, it didn't seem like it was something they had been carrying with them for a while.
Yeah.
But that again is just an impression. I don't know what the actual story is behind it. I do know that before I had ever seen an episode of Mythbusters, I had 2 different people in the span of a couple of weeks ask me if I had ever watched the show, because at the time I was wearing glasses that were similar to Jamie's, and my facial hair was more bushy.
Yeah.
So it actually inspired me to cosplay as Jamie at DragonCon one year.
How'd it go?
It went great because the build team was there at DragonCon, and I just did it as a hall costume, just goofy. Like I went out, got a military beret, wore a white Oxford shirt and khaki pants, walked around. And I had so many people come up to thank me for the wonderful TV show I had done. And I had to very gently explain, there's nothing like breaking the hearts of a dozen stormtroopers by telling them, I'm not actually the guy.
Well, Kim, where are you at with this thing? How do you feel about the future of the show now that they're being taken out?
I think it's probably a good way that they're going. And that these 3, you can only imagine that they're going to go on to either do something together, like go make a show about blowing up stuff or make a show about teaching science. I think they're going to stay together. It would just seem like a good marketing thing to keep them together and move on to their own show. But it did seem like it was out of the blue. But the heartfelt video that Jamie and Adam did, it almost made me cry.
Yeah, you could tell it's very sincere. Yeah,
yes.
Regardless of any business decisions or cost cutting or whatever, you could tell their hearts are in the right place. Tom, I would ask you though. Here's my prediction, and then you tell me how wrong I am. I hope, because maybe I'm wrong. The chances of Jamie, Carrie, and Grant kickstarting a web-based show all on their own. They go out on their own. They go independent. No editors. Nobody telling them what to do. They have a giant Kickstarter that makes millions, and they make their own show. What do you think?
Well, I don't think Jamie's going to do that with them, but I know you meant
Tori. Did I say Jamie? I meant Tori. Yeah, Jamie ain't going anywhere.
Tori, Grant, and Carrie going out and doing a show independent, I think is very likely. I think if they were going to spin out a build team episode on Discovery or a show, they would be promoting that now. They wouldn't be saying goodbye to them on Mythbusters without saying, the only reason we're saying goodbye is because they're doing their own great show. Like that, this is goodbye to the Discovery Network. So yes, who knows? Maybe these 3 wanted to do their own show, and Discovery said, great, we'll pay you a pittance. And they said, no, we will not take a pittance. And they have gone off on their own because of that, maybe negotiations. Yeah. I'm not saying I know that. I'm not saying that's what happened. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
It may be a possibility that the show is just so old at this point that you, as we'll see in a later story, you just can't keep popularity sustained at a high level forever. And they're like, well, we can't afford it. I always thought what they'd do is let Jamie and Adam move on because they would go on to bigger and better things. And then the build team would sort of take over the show. But I guess instead they're doing it the opposite.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
Also, the culture of, or even just the feel of the Discovery Channel has changed so dramatically in that 10 years that it's a different place. And so it doesn't come as a big surprise when even these long legacy shows end up having big changes down the line because the home itself has changed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it all pans out in the end. Tell us more about Star Wars, because that's always a topic on this show.
Follow me closely here.
All right, I'm listening.
TVZ Gun alerted us that comicbook.com said they have it on good authority. Disney plans to release the original cut of the Star Wars trilogy on Blu-ray. The Han shot first, the Ray Milland as Darth Vader, that one.
Okay.
The project has been underway for some time, they say, but some damage to the original negative slowed things down. Now, Screen Crush came in and said, ha, you don't know anything. Disney couldn't do this unless they get 21st Century Fox to sign off, because 21st Century Fox owns 20th Century Fox, the film studio, which owns the rights to the Star Wars films, all 6 of them, until 2020. So if Disney wanted to do this, they'd have to wait till 2020. And Screen Crush has it mostly right. Fox owns the rights to episodes 1 through 3, 5 and 6, Empire and Jedi, until 2020. They actually own permanent rights to the original Star Wars, a.k.a. A New Hope, Episode 4. There will never be a complete box set of Star Wars, The New Hope, included without Fox's approval. Now, all of that doesn't even include the idea that George Lucas doesn't want those originals out there. And Disney could do it without him if they had Fox on board, but you kind of want to keep George happy, so they'd have to mollify him somehow if they did. So there's a lot of ifs here.
There is. So, Kim, get behind me on this one if you would. Or you don't have to. You might think I'm crazy. But there's no way that they don't come up with a number that Fox is agreeable to so that they can give them the rights to do it. They're going to do it soon, before this other movie comes out, is my thinking. And they're going to be able to do it for no work. Like, Fox is going to be able to sign off, even if it's a limited deal, this one-time release, whatever. They're going to find the right price so that Fox will say, sure, we'll take your money for doing nothing. Because they don't have to do anything except approve this.
Oh, Fox, yeah. If there's money, Fox is going to take it. They're money grubbers. But my question is, I mean, I'm not one of those people who really cares about this stuff, so why should I care about this?
Because Han shot first, Kim.
That's right. There's some bad green screen, or not even green screen. There's some really bad matte painting to look at. There's some really sweet old 70s.
Jabba the Hutt couldn't fit under that Millennium Falcon. That's
Okay,
why.
I'm sorry.
All right, John, I can tell you're breathing heavily, buddy. What do you got?
You're killing me, Kim. Kim, you're breaking my heart.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so I very much care. I thought that perhaps the prequels had finally killed all love of Star Wars in me, but it turns out that yet again I can get my hopes up and have them dashed. I actually posted a similar storyline about this, about the fact that Fox owns the distribution rights at least till 2020 for 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, and owns it in part 4 in perpetuity. I don't know that Fox would necessarily agree with this deal. I mean, leverage is a powerful thing, and it may be one of those that, you see Disney killing it right now with Marvel, and they're doing really, really well. If you're another company that's saying, I've got something that they desperately would love to market. I don't know if you are aware of this, but Disney's big into marketing and merchandising. I don't know if you've noticed.
Really? No, I haven't noticed that.
Yeah.
So when you know this about a competing studio, then that's a lot of leverage. I just don't know how this is going to play out. I really hope it does work out into a Blu-ray release of the unaltered originals. That would thrill me. I would love to have access to that. I don't know necessarily where the sources came from the story, so I don't know how credible they are. It definitely seems unrealistic.
Are you guys jealous to hear that I own on DVD all 3 unaltered original films, and they only made I don't know how many of these, but not very many. And I had some fan donate it to me.
Jealous.
I own 2 copies of all 3, so no, I'm not.
Damn it!
I have a copy of that set myself.
Yeah, but not on VHS doesn't count. It's got to be DVD.
No, DVD.
No, it's DVD. It's
Damn it! I thought I was a special snowflake over here.
You are, Scott.
All right.
There's the bootlegs that came out that were the transfer from the Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Those came out. I have those as well, which I totally got as a present and didn't go out and buy.
Right. We understand.
But then they released DVDs of the special edition that had as a bonus on the disc, the unaltered originals, but they were also not cleaned up. You know, it didn't get the digital cleanup, so it's a grainy print. You know, it's not as pretty as it could have been. So it was one of those things where you didn't have all the extra stuff added in, but you also didn't get the benefit of having that digital cleaning of the print.
Tom, you said something about Lucas has to approve this, meaning George Lucas. Is that who you mean?
Yeah. No, George Lucas has said he doesn't want those originals out there.
Does he have the rights to even say that now, though? I guess he does.
Yes and no. I mean, Disney could do it without his approval, but he is owned by Disney in this sense. And Disney, the practicalities of the situation are such that they want George Lucas to cooperate on the creation of these films that they're making, Episode 7 and others, right? So they don't want to just be like, screw you, George, we're going to put him out anyway. They would want to mollify him because he is in that sense an employee, and they want him to give them other things and ideas and resources that would help them make the films.
It would behoove them to work with him well, just like I think it would behoove Samsung to be nicer to their competition. Oh, look at the transition on me. Amazing.
Oh no, but I have a question.
Ask it.
My question to you guys is, what do you think about the fact that episodes 7, 8, and 9 will not begin with the Fox fanfare?
Oh,
you won't have that.
That's right.
Da, 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 da. That won't be there. It will just go straight.
That's the deal. They get the rights to put the Blu-ray out in exchange for putting the 20th Century Fox intro.
Everyone will think Fox is still doing it. They incur none of the costs and all the benefit. That's actually not a bad theory, but that is a little bit weird to think of because that sound
that's iconic. Yeah,
is so iconic.
Transition, you know, it transitions so well.
I mean, listen, you're sitting right here. You may as well hear this real quick. Oh, I don't have it. Never mind. I thought I had it queued up, and I don't. There you go. Perfect, Tom. You got it.
Yeah, it's like a dead ringer.
So now tell me about this.
Guy from Police Academy.
This Samsung crap. What's going on?
The Ice Bucket Challenge, as everybody knows, is going around. People dump ice on themselves in order to raise awareness for donations to ALS, to fighting ALS, the ALS Society. And everybody's doing it. In my opinion, Patrick Stewart did it right, which is he wrote a big fat check and then he used the ice in a glass of whiskey. But that's neither here nor there. In a short commercial posted Friday, South Korean electronics giant Samsung subjected its Galaxy S5 smartphone to the Ice Bucket Challenge because it's water resistant. Yeah. And then the deal is that, Tim Cook pours some ice on himself and then he challenges his friends to take it, right? Like his hipster musician friends, whatever. Well, Samsung challenged Apple.
Yeah, and I'll play this commercial. It's not even a commercial. I'll play this 15 seconds of video, which will kind of tell you all you need to know. So here you go.
I am the Samsung Galaxy S5. This is my Ice Bucket Challenge.
Okay, there's ice and water on it now.
I nominate the iPhone 5S, the HTC One M8, and Nokia Lumia 930.
Boy, I had trouble with that Lumia word. Anyway, so what they did is they took the whole point of the thing and turned it into hey, we're water resistant. Why don't you try this, Apple? It's got nothing to do, or whoever, it's got nothing to do with ALS. Nothing to do with it.
Actually, the more I think about it, the more I think it's crass that they turned it into a commercial.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it is in the spirit of it. It's as if the virtual assistant on the Galaxy is challenging its friends,
right?
The M8 and the Nokia.
But there was no mention of the actual reason for the Ice Bucket Challenge, which is a problem.
Well,
since presumably it's to raise awareness. At least I was challenged just after I came down with pneumonia.
Nice.
Which meant that I was going to miss that 24-hour period. So instead, I wrote a check because, first of all, I was going to do that anyway, even if I were going to be doing the ice bucket thing, because I'm in a position where I can do that.
Sure.
I understand there are a lot of people who can't and who are doing this in good intentions to spread the word and to support friends, which I think is great. I also understand there are some people who are getting into it because it's a fad. That's something on its own. But when you get to this point where you're leveraging a trend in order to make a commercial statement, that's when I really I was on the fence about the people who are just dumping water on themselves as a funny video without really giving thought to the cause behind it. But I have issues with armchair activism anyway. It's one of those things that I'm on the fence about, because I think awareness is important, but I also worry that some people stop at that point and never go any further, and then you don't really see progress.
Yeah, it'd be better if more people were more informative about it. Kim, what do you think? Would you, if you owned Samsung, how would you feel about turning this whole thing into a commercial for your product?
And I think it's perfectly fine to take advantage of this as a marketing and an advertising, because that's what companies do. And companies are there to make money. But like Jonathan said, there was no mention of, well, they could have mentioned what it was for. They could have mentioned that, we're also donating money. They could have put some heart into it. There was zero heart in this. And I understand Tom's point where it was, virtual phone or virtual people, doing it to their virtual friends.
Sure.
But still, they could have done it with more heart. They could have done it and actually made the awareness there, but they didn't. And so I think it was really crass
of them
to go this way.
In the description, though, to be fair, they say they're calling out their followers to do the ALS challenge, and that they did it for the Motor Neurone Disease Association, which is a UK organization, and this is the UK.
Okay.
Well,
they did the right thing in the description. They should have done it in the freaking video.
Because as we've proved over the years, YouTubers, if they're known for anything, it's for carefully reading the descriptions.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
They're really good at hitting that little more button so that it scrolls down.
Everybody clicks. Everybody scrolls.
Yeah.
Anybody who's worked on the web knows that.
What it turned into, what's funny is I thought the comments would be all sorts of outrage at that they did it and other people defending them because they did it. Nope. It was about iOS is way better than Android, or Android's better than a Windows phone, or just a stupid brand fight down there. What a waste of time. But anyway, it is. I mean, it's at least interesting, that they would choose to do this, I suppose.
And now we become the instance.
Yes, we have.
For a short period. Nethken submitted this on our subreddit. If you're like, what's the subreddit? Go to currentgeek.reddit.com. You'll see everybody in the audience submitting stories for us. You guys are great. Thank you for submitting these. This one is that World of Warcraft has declined in subscriptions from a 2010 peak of 12 million paid subs to 6.8 million as of July. That's not the news. The news is lead game designer Tom Chilton talking to MCV and saying, quote, "We really don't know if World of Warcraft will grow again. It is possible, but I wouldn't say it's something we expect. Our goal is to make the most compelling content we can."
It's an incredible level of honesty that I totally appreciate, and there's truth in it. And some people have balked at that statement and thought, well, wait, that seems like not the company line. How could you say that out loud? But anybody paying attention to anything, looking at a 10-year-old game, it'll be 10 this November, plus alpha and beta if you played that like I did in 2003, it's starting to show that you can't sustain that kind of lifetime for as long as you'd like to. And you can't have 12 million subscribers until the end of time. But you can have 6.8, and you might have 5.5 at some point. You might even have 4.4. These are still millions more than any other game even comes close to. So the fact that they are saying, look, we're not crazy here. We don't think we're going to get back to those numbers with this game per se. Maybe it's a future game we do or whatever. We might maintain for longer now, or we might bump up a little bit, but we're just focused on making the game as great as it can be, is an incredibly honest and forthright sort of thing to say for a company like that. I think it's commendable. And some people are saying, no, he didn't listen to his PR trainers. He said the wrong thing. And maybe this affects stock price. I don't know. But what I think too is they're looking at different business models. The subscription base worked for them for many, many years. I think they realize that that's not always going to be the case. So they've come in with different money-making ideas. How many virtual items do they have on their store now that is making tons of money? Yeah. And that cost almost nothing. I mean, that is such low overhead. Mm-hmm. So, they're looking at different ways to make money. It just doesn't have to be subscriptions. And if you're going to, judge the game only on their subscription base, then I think you're going to be misinformed on how well it's actually doing. Well, plus it's just easy to give the first place guy a hard time. And I will admit and recuse myself as being very biased toward it. I love World of Warcraft, always have, and I like where the game's going. But I don't know. I like to see this kind of honest approach. John, what's your take?
I spend my time wandering around an empty Ultima Online server. So 6.8 million people is something I can't even fathom. And stop complaining.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
No, I mean, to be more serious, it's World of Warcraft defined the MMO experience. I mean, it's not the first MMO, but it was
not even close.
Yeah,
yep.
But it was such a phenomenal success, and they did so much right. The fact that I mean, the strategy of adding on expansion packs can really only last so long, because it's a brand new bunch of content for people who have been playing forever, who, you know, they eagerly consume it, but once they consume it, they're back to where they were before the expansion came out. Meanwhile, people like me who never got into World of Warcraft are intimidated just because you see these people who have massively high levels, and it looks like it's such a far way off from where you start, that, and there's so much there that you realize that you're kind of missed out.
Well, now's your chance to get in. They give you a free boost to 90, and you're right there with everybody else if you get the new expansion.
I don't like that idea either.
Right, there's a purist side of you that says, "Well, I should have earned that." And
well, it's that, and also the idea of, well, now how do I experience all the stuff that was meant for when I would have been a lower level, but now I'm like major overpowered for that kind of thing. That seems like that would be a really weird. Like, if someone who has no knowledge of the world really beyond just some surface level stuff, it just doesn't seem like it's a great solution. Like, there's not a happy medium there.
There's not, and that's why I think they went with it, because what else are you gonna do? The boost is the closest thing they can come to without saying, "Hey, you got to get in here and do 100 levels on your own. No one's been in there for years, but hey, good luck." Instead, they're saying, "No, come on up where we are, and then you can work through the next 10 levels with us." And knowing the game the way I know it, it actually works pretty well. But as an outsider, which is who they still need to attract, it's kind of mind-boggling and scary to see from afar, my guess is.
Yeah. It puts me in the mind of comic book series, right? There had to have been, and I don't know this for sure, but there had to have been a point where Superman's original series started to decline in sales, right? Yep. It couldn't continue to rise in sales forever. And what did DC do? Well, they figured out how to do crossovers, and they did spin-off series of Superman, and they came up with Superboy, and then they did a series on Astro, and then and on and on and on until they're still doing it today, like finding new ways to take those old characters. And Marvel does it too. It's not a DC thing. They all figure out, like, oh, okay, well, we'll change Spider-Man. We'll make Spider-Man different now, and we'll reboot it, and we'll kill Superman, and all this stuff. Warcraft is just in that early days where, like, this is a great content property, but they've ridden this horse of an MMO for so long that fewer and fewer people are going to be devoted to it, because they just get distracted and they have other things happen in their lives and they're interested in other things. But that doesn't mean that the franchise is dead. It means they have to do new things to serve that audience and figure out things like Hearthstone to kind of take that content in a new direction.
Yeah, it's all smart stuff. I mean, there are 10-year-olds who started playing the game back then who are now 20. There are 20-year-olds who are 30. There are 30-year-olds who are 40. I mean, generations have moved on. Minecraft is a real threat. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this mix. This game came out before Facebook was a thing, before Twitter existed, before consoles of the last generation were even announced. Like, it's a very different era, and we've come to a very different place. And so the idea that they still have 6.8 million people playing this thing is only low-looking if you look at it purely from the standpoint of, well, they used to have 12.8, which was this ungodly number nobody could get near. You know,
this is really a microcosm for business in general. You see a lot of businesses that are very much focused on growth year over year, and it becomes a thing where when you're obsessed with, which you can become obsessed with growth. When that happens, then it's, you have to find year after year, how do you squeeze more growth into a company after you start expanding through all the different areas you can. I mean, there does come a point where you really can't go further than where you already are without doing something truly revolutionary. And this extends across all industries, not just video games. But this is a great example of that happening.
It's a life cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. It's a life cycle.
Yep. And they're doing better than most, so I don't know what the problem is. If they
Well,
suddenly drop to
new
100, we'd be screwed, I guess. Yes.
The
Tom.
new hotness, Scott,
Yes.
is Fish playing Street Fighter 2.
Oh, this is the new. This
Oh,
is the new
this is
hotness.
awesome.
All right,
Mike
so
P.
explain
Kennedy-
this because it's so
yeah, Mike
weird.
P. Kennedy pointed this out. So this has become a new thing, right? We had crowd sources where like everybody votes on what the next move should be, and we saw Pokemon. Then we saw the fish playing Pokemon, where the fish would move to different quadrants of the tank, and that would be like the up, the down, the right, the left. Well, now there are two fish, Aquarius and Robert the Bruce, who swim around, and because they're different colors, they can tell which fish is where, and they're playing Street Fighter 2 from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. every day on Twitch. I watched a little bit this afternoon, and you would think like, this is going to be kind of boring because half the time they'll just be just like running into walls. No, it works.
They land,
fight.
yeah, they land punches, they land kicks. They do occasionally what sort of looks like a special will happen. It's kind of insane, but this is great. This is one of my favorite things ever. I have even nothing to add to it other than to say, whatever, people are going to hate on stuff when they become too trendy. Like, what's the next weird thing we'll do on Twitch with video games? But the best thing about this is the fish have no freaking idea what's going on.
Here's the thing.
How do you know?
Well, I guess I don't.
I feel even though I was a Mortal Kombat guy and not a Street Fighter guy, I can totally take Robert the Bruce. So, because that guy, all he does is the cheap back into the corner and block and then throw. I've seen his strategy. I'm prepared.
My money's on you, dude. My money's totally on you.
Jonathan's ready to take a fish down.
I want to see kittens next.
Kittens are next? Okay, cats in some form. How about
with little GoPros on them, doing something.
Doing a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, kittens, Borderlands 2. Let's go.
One-on-one Quake match, arena Quake match. Oh,
I also want to see on the aquarium. I want to see on the aquarium a line of quarters just lined up.
Yes.
On the aquarium.
Fish in a bowl waiting.
I got next.
Probably fish will get infected and die or something weird like that.
No, not on the inside of the
aquarium.
aquarium.
I see. Gotcha. All right, I'm next. I got next. Nicely said. Hey, Tom, before we move on here, why don't you tell me about this month's tech history book? Because I think people should own that.
Yeah, it's 99 cents. If you don't have 99 cents to spare, that's fine. But if you do, you should go to Amazon or TomMerrittBooks.com and pick up the latest tech history Kindle single. It is written by me, but all I do is take facts that I find and put them in order by what dates they happened on. But it's cool stuff. September was full of launches. And not just Apple launches, which recently have happened a lot in September, but Nintendo launched itself in there, television, like early television stuff. And of course, Scott made great illustrations that go in there as well. So check it out. Tech History Monthly this month is September. And we've got 11 of the 12 months now covered, Scott.
Yeah, and just about time to look at it and go, wow, look what the hell we did. That's amazing stuff. We're real proud of it, so please go check it out. 99 cents.
TomMerrittBooks.com.
It's on the cheap, yo!
In case you missed a look at one of the best-dressed beauties of the early 20s, here's another look at her. Had enough?
All right, we got some big topics to cover. Real quick, just can you tell us what last week we talked all about that Twitter, placing stuff in your Twitter stream. Do you want to? Is there a follow up to this? There's like because you talked about how they were going to do it. Do we know any more about how they're deciding where to place it in your stream?
We talked about it on the morning stream on Wednesday.
Oh, that's where I remember hearing about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so
and essentially
explain this thing.
From what it looks like, what they're doing is they look at people you follow, and then they say, okay, somebody favorited something. That's one strike in its column. They're not just taking things like I follow Kim, and so Kim favorites something and it shows up in my column, even though I don't follow the thing she favorited. That's not how it works. It has to be a significant number of people that you follow did something that indicated they were all interested in this, so that Twitter thinks, well, if those are people you're interested in and they're interested in this, you'll probably be interested in it. So it's not as bad as we thought, but it's still Twitter putting things in your timeline that you didn't ask for.
They're Facebookifying you, Kim. How do you feel about that? Sticking stuff in there you didn't ask for.
I just read an article on a guy who did a test, and he liked everything that came up. And his friends were so mad at him because all they had was crap in their
that
feed.
was Matt Honan from Wired. Yeah, he did it on Facebook. You're right.
Oh my! And that's all I can think of now is, that kind of stuff is going to start happening to Twitter, and that'd be horrible.
Yeah.
But at least with Twitter, you can get around it a little bit, but
I'm not even sure I'm going to notice them. So what I'm hoping is, I guess it was TMS we talked, I'm hoping that it's stuff that will just appear to me to be of interest to me, like they'll actually succeed at what they're doing, and it'll be kind of seamless. So because there's a lot of times I'm following people, I'm not even remembering that I followed them. They're just in the timeline. They're saying stuff. It's kind of cool. I suppose I could micromanage every list and every person and stuff, but I don't do that. So I hope it's just kind of there and isn't something like, get free 7 days in World of Warcraft by clicking here, like I get in Facebook all the time, and I already own that game.
Well, and that's a good question, right? Twitter has been doing ads for a long time, putting ads in your stream, and nobody really complains about it.
No one notices. I don't know. I don't even know when it's happening to me, to be honest. Maybe that's the bad thing. John, where are you at, man?
Well, I have a different perspective on this, and my perspective is that I think this makes favorites finally be useful. Because I don't know if you've ever heard like someone who has a lot of followers, but they say, a retweet is useful because other folks who don't follow me get to see it, and then they'll follow me and I can engage with a larger audience, and that's really helpful. But a favorite isn't terribly useful because then I might say something really funny and I see 5 people favorited it, and I thought, well, that's great, but now that doesn't mean more people will see it. So as an egotistical, megalomaniacal kind of person, I like this idea because I like the idea that if I say something really funny or really interesting, or I share a video that I think really is important in some way, and a lot of people favorite it, it gives other people the opportunity to actually discover it too. It's a discovery tool, and I think that is a good thing as long as it has a sufficiently sophisticated algorithm that has a good threshold. That's not something. Like if Google had implemented this, the number would have been so low that we would never see anything in our own feeds anymore. We would just see plenty of things that a few of our friends had favorited, and that's all we would ever see.
Yeah, and as long as it's not too egregious, so I don't walk away feeling the way I do on Facebook, which is you're showing me a bunch of things that a computer thought I might like, and that's when we humans balk. We don't like being told what we want or like. And not by a machine, This is a computer telling you all of these people that you say you like have liked this other thing. Therefore, we think you would also like it. Yeah.
So it's basing it off of your friend's behavior. So here's the deal. If you hate the stuff that's showing up, get new friends.
All right, I'm in.
Follow Kim.
I'm in. In more Xbox news, you can now buy and download your games remotely on the Xbox One, something you've been able to do on the 360 for a while, and the PS4 has a kind of a way of doing this. But if you want to, log in from the office or the train, you're like, I cannot wait to get home and play Halo 5's beta or whatever it is you're getting, you should be able to do that and have it sitting there waiting for you when you get home. I guess that's all right. Yeah. PlayStation app lets me do that now, I think.
Yes.
Well, it takes you to the web, to the store, and then you can do it. That's the only difference. The Smart Glass app for the Xbox One, you can do it right within the app, which is kind of nicer.
That's a better solution, yeah. If you're looking for good solutions, that seems pretty strong. But it's interesting because this and this new preview that they showed off, CNET's got an article about the preview they rolled out to members with some of the big stuff they have coming, some of the big changes, all this talk of VA service that we've talked about on the show a couple of weeks ago. It does feel like Microsoft, in the face of being behind in this new generation a little bit, is getting scrappy. They're getting, they want your business, they want your money, and I see this as all positive. Everything they're putting in there, all these new features, adding more features and functionality to the TV stuff even, is a great way to endear your users and attract new people and get this thing on more parity. Because right now they're kind of losing bad on this initial sales push for the last 12 months. And if they want to get back in it, they got to be in it to win it. And this is heartening to me. This isn't like sometimes you'll see Microsoft or somebody go, well, that what was that phone they had, that weird kid phone they made for about 5 minutes? What was that called?
The Sidekick?
No, it's
the Kin.
The Kin, was it?
The Kin, yeah.
The Kin was literally like 5 minutes that thing existed. And I remember going, well, that's how Microsoft always does things. If it's not working out, throw it away. We got enough money. We'll do something else. And this is a case, and I would even argue like the Surface, which is, not done great sales-wise. They're showing stick-to-itiveness. They're showing they're willing to put their money behind things.
Difference between Steve Ballmer and Satya Nadella's personalities?
I guess that's what we're seeing here. But anyway, that all seems really good to me. What else do we know about these updates that are rolling out as of today, right? The next update starts today?
No, it was Monday.
Oh, that was Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, well then, see, I should own a Xbox One. I might actually be able to use these features. But Tom, you have one.
They got 3D Blu-ray support. They got a new friends list organization. It's a little more interactive. A battery pop-up warning when your controller starts to run low on battery. That's nice. And an option to disable notifications during video. So if you're watching Netflix, you won't get, Scott Johnson just beat Titanfall, unless you wanted to.
Sure.
I really wonder how many of the features that we're seeing rolling out would have been incorporated earlier had Xbox not had to reverse its decision that it had originally when the Xbox One was going to come out, when the Xbox One was going to be online all the time. And then the initial reaction from fans was so negative that they reversed that decision. And as a result, they had to get rid of some of the features they had planned for the Xbox One because they weren't going to be compatible with this new mode of operation. I'm wondering if some of these things were originally going to be or very shortly going to be implemented into the Xbox One experience, but had to be rethought in the wake of those decisions.
Well, there was a lot of, not backtracking, but there was a lot of people right now are doing some kind of hindsight is 2020 kind of reporting on this, and some have even suggested that had they stuck to their guns and toughed out that weird E3 weekend when they were getting all of that heat and not sort of bowed to that pressure, that we might actually have ended up with a console that was better, that had time to prove itself with these features, that we wouldn't have had such a backlash toward it if they wouldn't have, sort of teetered on their idea and stuck with their vision. I don't know how, there's no way to know if that's true, and obviously, again, all hindsight, but that's an interesting way to look at it. If they would have done this, if the Kinect would have been more central to everything, and if that thing would have been on all the time and all the cloud service stuff they talked about, all the things they promised as benefits, right? Despite what weaknesses we all saw in it, me included, you wonder where they'd be today if they had at least shown like, hey, no, I'm not saying you need to, the captain doesn't need to stand with a ship and say, I don't care what you say, the ship isn't going down, and then drown with it. But I'm saying if they would have just said, yeah, we believe in this. That's why we're telling you this. We're not just saying it. We actually really believe in this.
Don't forget there's a personnel shift in there, right?
Yeah.
The guy who would have done that was Don Matrick.
Yeah.
Don Matrick left to become the CEO of Zynga, and Phil Spencer took over. And I know that they started to shift pretty soon after that. So I think there's more to it than just Microsoft changing their mind because of pressure. I think they were split internally already.
Yeah.
And then the Matrick people lost and the Spencer people won.
Matrick people versus Spencer people. That's the new game coming to Xbox One this summer.
And the fish control them.
Indeed. And then, so this September, we're getting, I know that revamped party app and the new friend section and all that stuff is coming out. This is total speculation, but do we know if that tuner that the UK is getting, is that coming here, or is that only going there because so many people are over the air over there?
It's going there first because they have a higher percentage of people that use over the air. They may come out with an ATSC one for us, but there's no announcement about it.
Hey John, PAL, how does it work? How does stuff work? What is PAL? No, you don't have to explain it. It's probably too long.
Do you really want me to go into that?
Tell me this. Isn't it kind of gone? Aren't we done with it?
No. No. There's. If you look at the UK standards are fundamentally different from the US standards. You have different frame rates. It's just one of those things where these two lines of evolution, they split early on and they never converged. So they're both mature technologies. It's pretty much, unless you get to a point where entire companies are able to completely shift the way they do things, this is how it's going to be.
So if I get me a 1080p flat panel Panasonic display and I get it in the UK, that is going to be fundamentally different in terms of its receivership and how it builds an image or whatever than if I do NTSC whatever or 1080p screen here or Japan, right?
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. Like if you were to go and get a UK Blu-ray player and come back and hook it up, it wouldn't work on your American television. It also would be snooty and it would criticize your decor.
As somebody who has lived all around the world and have lived in both PAL and NTSC countries, I have had many TVs that are both NTSC and PAL. It's like convertible, like 120 and 220, or 110, 220. You had to actually go and buy those kind of TVs, and it sucked.
Yeah. What is it in Australia? You were just there. What do they do?
It's PAL.
Oh, is it PAL down there?
Yep.
Yes.
And they have
all the pictures are upside down.
And they totally are.
Yeah.
But
they get used to it, and it looks right side up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've adapted.
But they have a lot of over the air down there. I mean, I didn't have cable the whole time I was down there, and I could watch almost everything because it was all over the air, HD over the air. It was really nice.
And the selection was good. Like, you could get all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you could. And I could get a lot of not only things from the States, but from around the world that you would only have to get here from cable. So it was nice.
Interesting. Well, our friends at SoundCloud are interesting. They're going to start paying artists for putting stuff up on their site. There's also a lot of talk how they're going to start working with podcasters in more meaningful ways. Right now, they do some interesting stuff with the beta program for some podcasters. I actually use it and really like it. I think Sword and Laser is putting their files up there now, right? I think.
Yeah, we don't like it.
You don't like it. Yeah, I mean, there's some issues, right? There's a lot of stuff, but
we don't hate it. I actually like the SoundCloud people, and I like the SoundCloud service.
Yeah.
But it's a service meant for musicians, and it was kind of hard to get stuff to work the way we wanted it to work because we didn't want to live entirely in their system, right?
Sure.
And that's the thing. SoundCloud is becoming very much like YouTube. Like, just live all entirely with us, and then everything will work fine. And I don't want to do that. I want to be able to host things in a lot of different ways and be independent.
Yeah,
so.
and there's no way there's. I mean, I think this period is about them learning that, but this other stuff seems more directed at, hey, we are a force in music, whether people want to admit it or not. It's mostly independent artists and people without deals. They're maybe more akin to, say, something like Bandcamp than they are YouTube or somebody else trying to get a music service going. But if they're going to start paying artists and creating some value there, that seems like a good idea to me.
Well, yeah, not to bury the lead, but what they're going to do is start putting ads before some sounds for certain people, selected partners, and then those partners get revenue. So they share that money that they make off the ads with the artists.
Nice. Well, good luck to them. All I know is it's kind of a pain when their uploader breaks. That's all I'm saying about that. See if you guys can fix it. That'd be great. All right. Hey, look at this. Before we move on to the pop quiz, Scott is here to tell you about Boop, the Boop Show, B-O-O-P, Boop, if you will. It's a twice-a-week video game podcast all about news and analytical conversation about video games. It's Monday and it's Thursday. You can get it right now at frogpants.com/BOOP. Brand new episode went up yesterday. Do check it out.
America scores and wins.
Oh, that music can only mean one thing. It is time for the pop quiz. And I'm going to ask our fine guests a series of questions in areas of their expertise, and they are going to answer them with the best of their ability. If they get stuff wrong, Tom will tell them. Well, I'll tell them, and here's how I'll do it. If it's right, I'll do that, and Tom will score it in a way that none of us can explain. Are you guys ready?
Accurately portrayed.
No.
Good. Then I will start with Kim. Ladies first. Kim, here's your question or questions. They are based on Fallout, the video game Fallout, and its sequels. All right.
Oh, man. I'm going to be so embarrassed, aren't I?
This might be mostly, I'm reading through these, might be mostly New Vegas, which I know you enjoyed quite a bit.
I do.
So let's give it a shot. Here you go.
Okay.
First question. Who provides the voice of Mr. New Vegas?
I do know this. I do know this, but no, I don't.
That is incorrect by its nature. It is Mr. New Vegas is Wayne Newton. Wayne Newton featured in it.
You lose a point because you didn't know it.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, is that no? I gain a point.
No, you lose.
No, you
one.
gain a point if you say I don't know it and you didn't. Sometimes under certain conditions.
Okay.
I'm telling you, that's how it works. Okay, what side mission in New Vegas has you raising a crashed B-29 from the bottom of a lake?
It's the Boomers mission. Come fly with me.
Oh, you're so close.
Oh.
I'll give you then I'll read it and Tom can decide. It's volare.
Yes.
It's meant to fly in Italian. It is also sung by that song sung by Dean Martin. So you're not
Well,
wrong.
and she gets a half point back because "Come Fly with Me" is by Frank Sinatra, and they're both part of the Rat Pack.
And there is a quest called "Come Fly with Me" at some point with the Boomers out there on Nellis.
See?
Well, you know what? That's another quarter point back right there.
Jeez, he ran a risk there. I thought he was going to ding you again. So you just never know. All right, up next. Here we go. What perk does Cass give you when you have her as a companion?
The Whiskey Rose.
You are correct. Nicely done.
Yay!
Bonus quarter point for saying the word whiskey.
Yeah. You're so quick, too. What is the name of the Poseidon Energy solar plant that powers New Vegas, Freeside, and other locations?
It is. I just did this quest like 2 days ago. It's up there, and that weirdo's running it.
You are right about that.
I don't remember I can't remember.
It is Helios 1.
Yes.
Helios
and you go
1.
and you have to collect all the broken solar things there, so you can go up to the Boomers. And,
See, she knows.
Yeah.
Clarifying question, Scott: is Helios really a weirdo?
Well, no. Because that's the solar plant, but the guy up there running it is a total weirdo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then half point for correctly identifying the weirdo.
Ah, the weirdo clause. You just all right, nice.
Yeah.
What does VATS stand for? VATS.
Oh shoot! I'm not even sure I ever knew this. Wow, it's targeting system, something targeting system.
Ooh, you know what? Some of that was, and some of that was, but it's the Vault Tech Assisted Targeting System. So you got half right.
Oh man, yeah, I'm not sure if I ever knew that.
You gain 2/3 of a point for 2 of the words, but then you lose 2/3 of a point because you actually did know it at one point.
See, you gotta watch it. Watch your step, ladies and gentlemen. It's a long fall.
I should just shut up, shouldn't I?
No, you're doing good. Next question, third to last. What animal do you generally see pulling caravans in the Fallout games?
Brahmin.
You are totally correct. Nicely done.
Two-headed.
Speed bonus, too.
Two-headed cows, right? Are they two-headed cows?
Yeah, two-headed icky things that have these like horns sticking out of the side of their cheeks.
It's gross, and they have like tumors and stuff. It's real weird.
Yes, it's disgusting.
Half point description bonus.
What item is John's getting like, oh man, I hope I can beat this now. What item is the player required to craft in the mission, quote, by a campfire on the trail, unquote?
Healing powder?
You are, hold on. Correct. Nicely done.
Ah, yes.
Next up, final question. What are the names of the light switches that are voiced by Veronica Belmont in the Old World Blues?
Oh, man, I'm sorry, Veronica. And I always feel weird talking to him because she talks sexy to me.
I know.
So then I have Veronica talking sexy to me, and I'm like,
nobody wants that. Yeah, nobody wants that. That's like this.
How about a booby?
Right? You don't want that in your life.
Yes.
All right, so you don't know, so I'm going to hit this. It's Light Switch 1 and Light Switch 2.
Of course. Duh.
You would have got a half point if you had said one of the Veronica Belmont sound quotes that Scott has on his board yourself.
Oh, yeah, you should have.
But as it was, you don't lose or gain any.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Could have been the sausage one. Could have been anything. All right.
I didn't do too bad. So
no, you did fine. I think you did. That was a respectable performance. I'm going to say that. Johnny, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Jonathan, by the way, I got to call him out. He's the nicest guy. He knew how interested I was in the Star Trek books his parents had written. We talked about it last time you were on the show. And he sent me some, and they're the coolest things. And they're signed by his parents. They're so rad.
Autographed copies, yeah.
That's so nice. Anyway.
Yeah, no, my parents just moved, and in the moving process, I told them because they had to pack up all their books. They have a library worth of books.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And I said, I know you guys got some copies of the Star Trek ones. Would you mind signing these for a friend of mine? And they very thoughtfully put them aside, signed them, and gave them to me.
Well, tell them how much I appreciate it. It was the
I
nicest.
think you should get a point for that.
Yeah, I think so too. Give me a point.
That's might be the only one I get. Scott, what is my area of expertise?
It is how things work trivia.
Oh, good. So it's not even how stuff works.
Sorry, how
It's
stuff works. How stuff works.
How things work
one's-
is their evil nemesis. You can't talk about that.
Yeah, no one's ever going to go to my website.
I keep
And it's not
screwing
even
that
my
up.
website.
I don't know
All right,
why I
this'll
keep
be
doing
exciting.
that. All right,
This'll be
how
exciting.
stuff works. Here it is.
All right, yeah.
Top question. What is the
Okay.
name of the distance between two supports on a bridge?
Between two supports on a bridge?
Yep.
I have no clue.
The span.
Oh,
The span.
That makes
By the way,
sense.
most of these are.
Ennui would have also served.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Most of these are pulled from videos where we actually hear you say these words, by the way.
Oh, fantastic.
Even better.
Worse. That's like you're like William Shatnering him.
Totally.
Episode 6 of How Stuff Works.
Sabotage.
Thank goodness.
The original chemicals in C4 are known as what?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
The reactants. The reactants.
Oh, I thought they were talking about the actual chemicals, not what.
Yeah,
type
you're gonna
of
get a half
chemical.
point. You're gonna get a half point confusing question bonus.
All right.
I can tell you that gunpowder is charcoal, saltpeter, and well, I really shouldn't because your listeners might go out and make
Oh yeah, right. Look at you giving
You're
instructions.
losing a quarter point showing off bonus.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Next up, what civilization was said to introduce pontoon bridges to the world?
Wow.
I'll-
Wild guess. I'm gonna say China.
You are incorrect. The Romans would have been the correct answer. The Romans.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
He just doesn't watch enough HBO.
I guess not.
No.
Not
No,
enough
I-
History Channel. It's all Hitler all the time over there. Who invented the tuning fork?
Edward Tuning.
You are incorrect. John
Oh, I was-
Shore is the actual
Oh.
answer. John Shore.
You get a half point making the judge laugh.
Not easy to do, by the way. That's no small task. All right, next up. What three principles of physics are demonstrated with a Newton's cradle?
A Newton's cradle.
Yeah.
Phew. I would imagine it'd have to be the laws of thermodynamics, but I don't know what a Newton's cradle is.
Well, it holds two apples. No, it doesn't. Here's the answer. It is conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, and friction.
Which would be the two of the three laws of thermodynamics.
Yeah, so you're going to get 0.67 points.
Yeah, I think
appreciate
it
that.
deserves
I
that,
appreciate
I think. What part of a car's brakes help protect off-road drivers?
The shocks. That's not even part of the brakes, though.
Oh, is that your answer? Sorry. You got another one?
no, it might as well be. When it comes to cars, I know nothing.
This is a lot of suspense. There, we do that for suspense.
Suspension?
It is, so that is incorrect. It is the braided stainless steel brake lines. A
Wow.
sentence
That's-
uttered by one Jonathan Strickland on a video.
What? That cannot be my. I
Somewhere.
have no memory of this.
Somewhere, somehow, that was uttered. Next and second to last here, we got, according to
Okay.
howstuffworks.com, where is the
Sure.
best place to take a bullet?
Out for a dinner.
Yes. Yes.
Incorrect. Your hands or feet is the proper answer.
No, I think he was right.
You think it-
He gets a point for that.
All right,
He
fair
knows how to
enough.
treat a bullet.
Fair
That's
enough.
right.
Last-
I was brought up in the South.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so-
right. He lives in freaking Georgia. Okay, last question. On a gear, the ratio is determined by the distance from the center to where?
Well, it's determined from the center to the edge. It's the actual edge of the gear.
They say point of contact, but we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Well, yeah, that would be where the gear.
That would seem like a point of contact to me. Nicely done. There are your questions. Tom will now add them up in a expeditious way, and it's his fiduciary commitment. So, Tom, how did they do?
Well, this is probably the closest we've ever had. Coming in with 3.92 is Jonathan Strickland, and with a flat 4, Kim Price.
Wow.
Kim, I've always maintained that you are 0.08 better than I am.
Well, I think we did this test before, didn't we? And I just slightly outdid you then too.
Probably.
Yeah, no, I mean it's consistent, so I can't argue at all.
It's
with the results.
reproducible results.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
scientifically sound.
Yeah.
Well, nicely done, everyone. Always fun. I always enjoyed this part of the show. It's maybe one of my favorite things. I also like this next thing.
The future promises even more startling things to come.
Why, it's Forecast. It used to be a show. Now it's a segment, and it's where we try to predict the future. Usually it's about nerdy, geeky stuff, sometimes science, sometimes whatever. And Tom Merritt gave us one today, and I'd like to know what it is. Tom, what is it?
So I saw an article today on Bloomberg about manned drones. This guy's trying to make a drone like a quadcopter, except it's just it's kind of bigger, so you can sit on it like a motorcycle that you can fly around. And it made me think self-driving cars are coming and will make the roads incredibly safe. while we're all flying around above that, endangering our lives with flying drones. So in the future, the roads are going to be much safer than the air.
Wow. That's turning it on its head there. Okay.
Yes.
There's all this talk here locally about, because here in Utah, we got a lot of really nice national foresty stuff and monuments and things that are protected by the government or otherwise are, unique and you can't get anywhere else. Big stone arches and crazy crap down in southern Utah. And people have been taking these quadcopters down there and flying them up around these monuments and stuff. And then in some cases, not on purpose or anything, but some of them are slamming into the side of things. They lose signal or whatever. And they'll run into the side of a thousands-year-old rock formation, red rock formation, then leave big old gouges on it from where this quadcopter smashed into the side of it. And so there's a lot of talk about regulating it and putting rules in place and all that sort of thing. If your prediction holds, that would mean that the drone thing never gets under control, meaning we never put something in place.
No. You misunderstand me. You're talking about quadcopters and remote flying. That's an entirely different scenario. I'm talking about we start riding drones ourselves.
Oh, manned as in we're in them.
And so the unmanned drones problem could be totally solved.
Yeah.
They could be perfect, and we've figured out the regulations, and that's all going fine, but we're all going to be flying the way we're driving now.
Well, in that case, you're right. The road's a way safer place to be. But that's where all, the refuges of society will be. All the, guys that are squeezing oil out of rocks and selling rags on the street and stuff. That's what that's going to be. How safe can that be? That can't be all that safe.
It won't be Road Warrior. It'll be Air Warrior. Mad Max above Thunderdome.
Just fly away. Just fly away. Yeah.
Scott, I'm going to have you watch some episodes of Forward Thinking because your vision of the future is way too bleak.
Oh, I have a very dark vision for all. Anytime we talk about the future, it's always apocalyptic to me. I just cannot. Tom will envision shiny, metallic cities, and I just see people having gas wars.
Cities in flames.
Yeah, I see those.
I'm with you.
Are you with me,
crazy?
Kim? Explain.
I'm with you, Scott.
Why do you think that? Is it? Okay, first of all, I know you share my like a video game set in that world. You probably like movies that are like that. What is it in our heads that tells us the future is going to be that bleak, dusty, and terrible?
Because I actually want it to be that bleak, dusty.
She loves Fallout.
I do. I want to be like, oh, Mad Maxy, and I know I could take people on.
Okay, but here's the thing. When you combine your post-apocalyptic vision of the future and the vision that Tom and I share of the shiny future, we get Blade Runner.
Yeah,
that's what you end up with.
Yeah, or even
begin again.
What's the?
I don't look good in spandex.
Yeah. What's the other one? Fifth Element had a great way of showing that up above a certain level things are pretty sweet, but then down below a certain level, the old city,
sure,
it's all crap. I'm intrigued by that too. Don't get me wrong. That's an interesting place, but here's where I think Kim's head's at, and Kim, tell me if I'm wrong, but I want to be in a place where it all boils down to me and me surviving. I just need this gun on my back that I found, and I'm going to be careful with my ammo, and I got this machete, and it's just me in a big desert full of hardly anybody, so when I come across somebody, it's just down to just blood rights, man. I'm either going to beat them or I'm not.
Well, I think that comes, we both grew up in the desert, and that's kind of where it is, we
weren't found out between two cactuses or something, but
you weren't.
But we both come from places with,
Scott Johnson,
salt
flats of Utah.
It's probably not a far-flung idea to say your favorite planet in Star Wars probably Tatooine, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I love it
exactly.
for the same reasons. What is that? What is that about that? Anyway, so sorry, John, you were going to say.
I was just going to say that this vision of the future where the roads are safer than the skies. I've done some extensive podcasts about the idea of flying cars because I do a show about the future. So we've talked about flying cars because that's one of those mainstays with any discussion about the future is when are we going to have flying cars? Where's my jetpack? When am I going to have a flying car? These are the two big ones.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot about how in order to have a viable flying car where more than just a few people own it, where you're talking about that being a viable means of transportation for the average commuter, you have to give into the concession that it needs to be an automated car the same way you would look at a Google car. It would need to have something that would have computer control, that would be very responsive to the environment, be able to react in milliseconds, like split seconds, beyond milliseconds, because human reaction time just cannot compensate for the kind of potential catastrophe that could come up with this sort of thing.
Sure.
So I think if we ever do get to a point where we actually have real flying vehicles that we personally can own and operate, it's going to be that way. In the meantime, in the near future, before we get to that point, I expect anything that would be like a manned drone scenario would be regulated to the point where you would have to have a license, a pilot's license, to
Like
be
a
able to
helicopter
operate,
license, yeah.
which would automatically severely limit how many people would be able to do it, because not only would you be talking about incredibly expensive equipment, but the actual process of getting the license itself, the schooling, the training you have to do is also expensive. You have now set the bar so high that your average person's not going to be able to afford it, much less be able to have one in their garage. So I think when you get down to the actual reality of it, when we have the future where flying vehicles, personal vehicles are a reality, we won't be in control of them apart from saying where we want to go. And I think that's probably the best case. In fact, I think that's the best case for cars too, although I'm not a driver. So I'm perfectly happy with the idea of getting into a car, telling the car where I want to go, and letting it handle it from there, because I trust it. I trust the idea of a device that is capable of calculating and reacting in time that makes my reflexes seem sluggish and glacial in comparison.
Well,
Here's the problem, though.
Yeah.
On the roads, it's much harder to drive when you don't have a road. And so you're limited where you can get away with something. So self-driving cars win. In the air, however, you've got Kim and Scott with their machetes flying anywhere. And you've got everybody who's following by the rules in their self-flying planes. But these rogues are out there causing problems.
that's right. Here's all
That's
you
what-
need. You guys stay in your
Exactly.
fancy. You guys stay in your fancy. Everybody looks the same jumpsuits up in the big shiny city. Kim and I will be down on the ground selling like half a dictionary for a can of tuna fish down at the local whatever. Like, I'm ready for that. I want the dirty, grimy. Let's go. Let's survive. Let's do it. Let's make a fire out of nothing. That's what I want.
I look
Scott.
really good in leather pants. So that is where we're going.
And that is the future we're headed.
No argument here. Now, Scott, one last question
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
All right, you come upon a tortoise and you turn it over on its back.
Yeah.
Okay, and it can't turn over
Yeah.
by itself. How does that make you feel?
I would pick up the turtle. I would save the turtle. He would
They're
become
just
a.
questions, Scott.
He would be. He would.
Just questions.
He would roll with me across the desert. This is how I'm answering your question. He's going to be part of my posse. It's just me and the turtle. I'll talk to him, kind of like Tom Hanks does to that stupid ball in that Castaway movie. That's how it's going to be. Me and the turtle. His
Cool.
name will be Francis, and I'm ready. Let's go.
Well-
I got half a dictionary and a hankering for tuna.
Awesome.
And if
Scott,
the turtle shell gets broken, he'll patch it with, all kinds of crazy stuff. And this will be the ragtag turtle.
That's right. For every outlaw I kill, I'm going to scratch a little line in the side of his shell. Oh
Scott,
man.
I'm proud of you. You have changed from a replicant to a replicant.
Replican do. That's gonna do it, everybody. Thanks for being here. What a fun future we have ahead of us after that segment. If you would like to be a bigger part of today's show, it's real easy to do it, and I'll tell you how in just a minute. That's kind of a tease, because before that, I'm going to tell you about our guests and where they're at and where you can find more of them. Kim Price, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, they can find me at Doghouse Systems, doghouse.com, or just Doghouse Systems on the Twitter. You can also find me at Kamali, or just Kamali, on the Twitter, and over at Ladies of Leet. And also at Catching Up With. Ralph would have killed me if I would not have mentioned Catching Up With, our Doctor Who podcast.
Oh, he's all threats. He'd never follow through. He'd be fine.
Oh, I don't know about Ralph.
Ralphie boy.
He just beat you down at Hearthstone or something.
Yes.
Yeah, he would.
Well, it was awesome to have you on. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I had
Hey,
so
Kim.
much fun.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Strickland, tell us
Yes.
where you can be found on the internet.
Well, you can find me on Twitter, John Strickland, Jon Strickland. And if you go to howstuffworks.com, You're going to find yourself in a world of amazing information written by lots of really talented writers, great people over there. You could check out my podcasts with How Stuff Works. Those include Forward Thinking, which is all about the future, Tech Stuff, which is about technology in general. And I also appear on a show called Brain Stuff, which is kind of general questions and science and tends to be a little more zany than the other shows that I do. And if you really want to be crazy and you want to join an elite group of podcast listeners, you can subscribe to Podcast Without Pretense and maybe be the 7th, 8th, or 9th listener to our show. That's a show I do with Ayaz Akhtar and Eric Sandine, and it is absolutely ridiculous. It is a meandering mess of a podcast where we get together, have conversations, laugh, and watch various weird movies on Netflix.
That sounds amazing. More people should listen to that, I think. Check it out. John Strickland on Twitter. Tom Merritt, anything to add in parting here?
No, just tommerritt.com if you want to find out what else I'm up to. We've talked about the books and stuff already, but we have a programming note because in the next 3 weeks, you'll find me either at Dragon Con next week or possibly in Italy because I'm going on vacation, which means Current Geek's going to take a little hiatus. Don't panic.
Yeah, I've got an anniversary next week, which coincides with stuff where you'll be gone, and then I'll be at Salt Lake Comic-Con the very next week, running a booth there all weekend. And yeah, so as it turns out, we'll both be kind of done with our stuff by the time Tom gets home, and then we're back at it. So we're just on a little hiatus. It doesn't mean we're going anywhere. It just means, you know, it's like, what is it like? It's like when baseball season's on and Fox has none of their good shows on. It's
right.
like that.
It's like when So You Think You Can Dance is off, you know, and then, you know,
and we all rejoice.
Our new fall season is coming in 3 weeks.
Yeah, watch for that. Fall season coming up 3 weeks. I couldn't have said it better myself, so I won't.
One of us will die.
I would like to point your eyeballs to currentgeek.com. That's where all our stuff is. You can also find us on Reddit, like Tom keeps mentioning, and I do recommend you do. currentgeek.reddit.com. Great place to give us stories and be a part of the show. Be a big part of what we cover here and do each week on the show. Oh, gosh, what else? Current Geek on Twitter. That's at Current Geek. At Scott Johnson for me. At Ace Detect for Tom. Andrew Allen did our theme music. It's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys next time. Well done, everyone.
Well done.
Stay a while and listen.
That was fun.
That was fun. It's always fun.
That was a lot of fun.
You know why it's mostly fun is because good guests come on with us, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, stop.
Aw, no way. You guys are awesome.
Well, it was great. Thank you for that. And I meant to pimp the Henry code on the show while you were here, Kim, but I forgot to.
Oh, yeah. No, you're doing great this month, so
yeah, I probably don't need to push it any more than that.
Nice. Yeah, no, this month is a good month for you.
Well, if anyone needs us, you know where to find us. Again, thanks. This just means you're on the continual list of people who we'll probably have back on. So I hope you're all okay with it.
Thank you guys so much.
No problem.
Come back soon, both of you.
Yes.
I would love to.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a good night. Hold on. People at home, I have to turn you off now.